Hi everyone, this is Joshua Hoffman, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success and discuss a few things they learned along the way. Today I have Salim Faour, the CEO of Webterior Designs, a marketing agency specializing in helping businesses of all sizes transform digitally. Welcome, Salim.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Of course, and I want to jump right into it. And I actually want to understand how you went from working at Verizon to eventually starting your own marketing agency.
So that's a great story. While I was working at Verizon, I was full-time working at Verizon. At the same time, I was full-time in school. I was in college. I went for a marketing degree, and it was great. After I graduated college in 2014, I found myself like I needed to do something that I enjoyed. I went to school for marketing. I wanted to do that. Fast forward a few years, I was getting random jobs, working at random places, random businesses. I was working at a construction agency. I was working at a manufacturing company, and it wasn't fulfilling. Then in 2018, I was working for a manufacturing company, traveling back and forth to China, from China to America, and then I got fired. And hey, what do I know best? My wife was pregnant at the time. What do I know best? I'm tech savvy. I know marketing. Let me do that. I was working in. I was back and forth. I want to do this. I don't want to do it. I just jumped right in. I reached out to one of my friends. He's like to me, "Hey, can you build a website for me?" At that moment, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I can do it. I just didn't know what I was doing. We agreed to a price. He paid me a deposit. The next day, I went to my accountant, opened up the business, and here I am.
What was that price?
I
And the
think
project.
it was a website. It was a website development on WordPress. I think it was like $5,000 we agreed to. And it was starting money, but it was better than nothing. And just went with it.
Then how did you get your second customer?
My second customer happens to be, he had posted something on Facebook. My cousin commented, "Hey, maybe you could use him." We ended up talking, and now that second customer is still my customer till today.
What was, is it also a website, that project?
Yeah, it was also, so most of my businesses, most of my clients, they first started off as websites. The company Webterior Designs is mainly web. It's a play on words, web design and interior design. Combined it, made the word Webterior. It's a new word. I coined it. I believe I coined it. Anyways, so it was a combination of those two words, because the idea is, when you're inviting somebody to your website, it's like you're inviting somebody to your home. So they're seeing your interior design, Webterior Designs. So most of my clients, when I first started, they were just strictly web design. A lot of my clients, they kept coming back. "Hey, do you do this? Hey, do you do this? Hey, do you do this?" At the time, I was young. I was naive. I didn't know what I was doing. I kept saying, "Hey, yeah, why not? I could do it." I learned it and delivered.
Did that ever get you in trouble? As in, like, were you able to not execute on whatever they asked?
Yes and no. There were a few times that I did get in trouble, but I'm a salesman at heart. Like I'm a salesman at heart, and I was able to um, kosher the sale, if you will, and end up over delivering, if you will.
So I guess I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about your firm a little bit more. But I guess you obviously started in web design and then added services. So first, can you tell us just a little bit more about what you guys provide, and actually kind of go into the story of how you started with web design and then added X, Y, and Z services?
Sure. So to answer your first question, what kind of services I offer design services. Then design services is anything in regards to web design, application design, print design, photo editing, etc. Anything in the design aspect, 3D animation, anything in that design world. I offer development, automations, web development, PHP development, app development, etc. I also offer marketing related services, obviously, since we're a marketing agency now, which is paid ads, social media marketing, email marketing, anything in that kind of aspect. I also offer, just going through my pillars of services that I offer. So I said design, development, digital marketing, business consultation, and that's pretty much it. Business consultation is basically anybody who wants to open up a business, want to know how to do the ins and outs. I'm there to help.
When did you start this by yourself? Was it just you in the beginning?
Yeah, I'm the only owner.
When did you kind of figure out that it was time to hire, go from, like a solo entrepreneur to hiring a team?
So my demands of my clients were getting far more complicated than I can handle myself, and the deadlines of my clients were getting far more intense that I could do everything myself. Given the fact that I had multiple clients asking for multiple things, I couldn't do everything myself. So a lot of the clients that were coming back to me were asking for design related requests. So my first hire was a designer. I hired a designer. It was I at that time I was working out of a friend's office. I was renting a desk in his office. I couldn't bring him to my office, so I hired somebody remote. And this was 2018 ish, in the beginning of 2018. So this is well before COVID ever happened. Remote was not a thing, and I took the risk. I hired somebody remote. It worked out, thankfully. And till now, this person is still with me. He is not my lead designer. He doesn't have that skill set to be a creative director, but he's still with me. And then from there, I stuck with this designer because that was really pretty much all I was getting, a lot of design work. And then those people that were asking for design work started asking for other things. And then each request that I was getting prompted me to look for another person in that, specializing in that thing. Because I'm pretty good at what I do, but if I need to deliver perfection, I'd rather hire a specialist to get that done.
Sure. No, I think that totally makes sense. Can I ask, you don't have to answer, but what revenue were you at when you made that first hire?
Honestly, for the first 2 years, I was losing money. I was taking on clients just to get my name out there.
Mhm.
Fast forward now 5 years, I get to pick and choose who my clients are. I'm at a
How do you do
point where, well, my brand is out there in my local community. It's been 5 years. I haven't spent $1 on ads at all to acquire any new customers. It's all been word of mouth, referral, proof of work, etc. I've made a lot of strategic partnerships with certain influencers in my local community, which they have 20, 30, between 20 to 70,000 followers on their social medias, and we have like a barter relationship where I do some work for them. I slap my logo on the bottom of it, and they post it, and then they also publish work of mine on their status, on their feed, on their whatever. So I've been getting some clients like that. That's how I've been growing.
That's interesting. What type is this even the right question? What type of influencers have worked best for you?
So since I'm Jewish, and the type of influencers that worked best for me are the Jewish influencers, because I can relate.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the jobs that we're getting, and it's funny because most of my employees, all of my employees rather, I should say, are not Jewish. So and we're getting a lot of Jewish projects, which
Uh-huh.
is I call them my honorary Jews, and I have to like give them Jewish names. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's
So it's pretty
amazing.
fun.
As a
Yeah.
fellow Jew, I love it. That's amazing. Going back to hiring, do you have any like best practices for hiring? Any kind of mistakes that you've learned from? Anything like that?
Oh, there's so many mistakes. There's so many
Yeah.
mistakes, but they're learning mistakes. I like to call them learning mistakes. If you're
Sure.
not learning from your mistakes, then what are you even doing? So at the cusp of COVID, I was approached by an old friend of mine. He's like, "Hey, something's gonna happen soon." This is 2019 December. He's like, "Something's gonna happen." This is right when we heard about the outbreak in Wuhan. He's like, "Hey, something's gonna happen. Let's open up something together where we find remote staff for people anywhere around the world."
Hmm.
I said, "You know what? I'm in." So me and him together, we opened up a remote staffing business, and so I currently am owners of 3 businesses at the same time while I'm running this one. One B2B staffing and one B2C staffing company. Basically, we find and match talent worldwide to companies here in the States. So I have that little edge that I have access to candidates anywhere around the world to perform and deliver anything. Now, I just want to be very specific that the other 2 agencies that I own are mainly we provide you the talent in order for you to get your job done. Whereas Webterior Designs is more of a done for you agency where and they're mainly based they're all based in the States where we do the work for you as opposed to the candidate, you telling the candidate what you need to get done. Very big difference.
Any lessons you've taken from the other business that you move into this business?
Yeah, you have to take your time to properly vet every single person because there obviously is going to be a lot of mistakes in your hiring. Some people are, accepting job offers for the wrong reason, as opposed, when the clock strikes 6, I'm out. Like those are typically those are the worst people because they're in it just for, hey, I need $1, I'm here for my paycheck, I'm out. You want people who are invested. No one's going to be as invested as the owner. That's the honest truth. But you want people at least to be somewhat invested in the growth of your company.
Is there anything that you ask like during the interview process or anything that helps you understand, like the motivation behind why they're getting the job or why they applied or anything like that? Is there like specific-
I asked them something very that has nothing to do with the job. Like if you didn't have to work, what would you do? If people were to answer, oh, I would do, let's say we're hiring a digital marketer, right? I would do paid ads. That's not what you would do. Like who you bullshitting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like give me something. I want to see your personality.
Have you gotten any like ridiculous answers?
There was one person said that he would like to what's the word he said? Teleport. He would like to teleport. I was like, okay, what would you teleport? He's like, yeah, one day I'm in the mood for sushi. I'm in Japan, and then I go back. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Wait, that's not even answering the question.
Yeah,
That's like,
I don't know.
what power did you have? It's what would you do? Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. But
Yeah,
I guess that we'll get in interviews sometimes.
yeah.
Okay, going back to like running the 3 businesses. Really curious, I guess, how you manage your time.
I have a lot of it. Let me retrace my thoughts for a second. So in the beginning, it was mainly me and this one business, and that one designer I was working very closely with him. And then in 2020, I want to say 2021, at the end of 2021, like August of 2021, I woke up one day. I was like, hey, it's either I'm in or I'm out. I started creating systems. I started creating processes. I hired a 25-year-old, very. I hired my first VA, if you will, but that VA quickly turned into my right hand. And me and her kind of worked together on everything, and we created systems, we created processes, we created guidelines, we created procedures so that I eventually can get fired from my job. I don't want my business to be attached to me. My business has to be able to run without me. That's the whole idea. In 2022, it was a year of tremendous growth. I went from, as I said, in 2021, I started hiring. I said to myself, okay, I got to go. It's either I'm in or I'm out. I got to go big or go home, essentially. I hired my third person and my fourth person in 2021, like August, November, around there, August, September, November, around that area. And then in 2022, I experienced a tremendous amount of growth. It went from like 4 people to like 26 people. It was an insane growth. And 2022, I saw was the year of growth, and 2023 this year, I keep telling my team members this year is the year of structure, because we experienced that crazy growth in 2022. Now we're going to be more structured. I've been declining jobs because I need to be able to deliver on existing projects and before taking on new projects. I need to structure myself. So that was the whole idea. If you can't build systems and processes, then you're not going to be a business owner. You're going to be an employee.
Yeah, I want to keep like double clicking on that because I think it's really interesting. Is there any kind of detail that you can give of what, like tangible systems or structures that you're putting in place this year or put in last year?
Um, Last year I didn't put any, to be honest. I kept getting project after project, and every project was bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just kept hiring more and more people for that. I had some pitfalls. I had some people that just didn't work out. I had some people that came in, joined, were great, and then ended up deciding they wanted to leave. And this year, at the end of 2022, I just was reflecting on like what went right, what
Hmm.
went wrong, how can we fix it, and how can we get better. So I it would Can I elaborate more on the types of procedures? Yeah, we're putting together communication guidelines, the best way to, meeting policy guidelines. We're putting together how to make guidelines about how making a guideline, because if they're called standard operating procedures, SOPs, for a
Hmm.
reason. If you
Hmm.
don't have it standardized across the entire company following the same sort of guidelines, then every department or every person is operating by themselves. You don't have a company. Everyone's just hanging out. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to SOPs, it's something that actually one of my co-founders kind of mentioned to me, and she came from Penn, and I thought it was such a corporate, thing, and I had
It's
this like,
absolutely needed. It's
and I had this like
absolutely
ugh against it until I realized I was like, oh, if you actually just take the ego out, and just realize what it is, it's pretty essential in process.
it's
Um,
100%, 100% essential, because if you don't have those standards, every single deliverable, every single project will be different, and it is not ideal for your client.
and it's best for new employees, right? Like, what are you doing when a new employee comes in? You're telling them the standard operating procedure anyway, so you might as well have a docket for it, and let them learn
Exactly.
that way, and then ask questions, and at least they
I've
don't
had
always need
I've
to be telling you,
I've had people leave me because the onboarding was difficult to
right?
understand. And
Sure.
I hired a specialist in human resources that has like
Mm.
6 or 7 years of human resources experience to perfect that onboarding procedure. Now, before it would be like, okay, we onboard for a day, and then after the day or two, while they're onboarding, reading all the documentation, it's like, okay, we give them a project, and it's like, okay, let's slow down. They were onboarded for like that. The human resources person said, okay, we need to give them more time to onboard, a week, week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, to get the
Hmm.
hang of things, have them in training, and then we can introduce them to the entire team, and then we can introduce them to projects. It has to be a staged approach, as opposed to a, okay, you're in, you're done. It's
Right.
I've definitely learned a lot.
Right. Yeah, and I want to go back a half a step now. And what do you think contributed to most of the growth last year?
Um, Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I gotta say proof of work, and if I'm gonna be a little bit religious, it's all in God's hands. Really, it's all in God's hands. It's nothing more, nothing less. Um, and yeah, that's what I gotta say about that.
Was it most of the new business come in through referrals?
Yes, all of them, every
All
single
of them.
one, every single client that I've had till now is mainly referrals, and a few came from the influencers that I have strategic relationships with.
Is there any kind of process that you put in place to increase referrals, or is it just good work gets referrals?
Good work gets referrals, proof of work, proof of concept. I also am what helps is that I'm also pretty well known in my community, my local community, so people know me, and they see the name, and they like it. They like the stuff, so they call me.
I didn't
Most,
know,
most
and
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, no, you.
I said most of the work that I do, I negotiate with my client, say, hey, can I slap my logo on it and my phone number? And they let me. So that's where it is. That's how
That's
people. That's how people
It
know me.
sounds silly, but that's genius. You don't give a discount or anything. You just ask
Nope.
them, and they usually say
I just
yes.
ask them straight up. Hey, do you
Well,
mind if
shit,
I
if
put my logo
there's
on it? It's my work. I'm delivering to you. Yes, you're paying for it, but do you mind if I put my logo on and my phone number just to get my name out there? Most of the time,
no,
it just works.
I think that's smart. It's almost like actually car dealerships. You'll see, sometimes car dealerships will put their name
Yeah, yeah,
on the license plate, and I think they could just kind of have that. It's up to you to take it off.
yeah.
But similar, getting your name out there, type of technique. I think
Well,
that's
it
really
also
smart.
helps. Also, at the every website that I delivered on the bottom, it says designed and developed by Webterior Designs. So that helped also.
Same type of thing. Yeah. If you had to teach something to other marketers, what would it be?
If I had to teach something to other marketers, what would it be? Um, Take it easy. Nothing's as serious as it seems, and be patient. Just be patient.
No, I love that. What do you enjoy talking about the most that you normally don't get an opportunity to talk about?
During workout, or like for working
It
or
could be. It could be
anything.
anything. Yeah.
What do I enjoy talking about the most? Honestly, my wife hates it, but because I consider this business as my baby, I'm
Yeah.
always talking about it.
Sure.
Literally, day in and day out. I went from working a 9 to 5 job, and I said to myself, you know what? I need to get out of this. I need to be my own business owner. And I went from working 9 to 5, 40 hours a week to now working 90 plus hour weeks. And I love it. Every minute of it. Every minute of it. Every second of it. I'm always talking about it. I'm always talking about business. My wife hates it. She goes, "Can we please talk about something else?" I'm like, "Hey, this is you got into this. It's your fault."
Do you ever get burnt out or anything like that?
Yeah, that's where vacation comes in. I just got back from vacation a couple of weeks ago. Went
Where
down
were
to
you?
Miami.
Very nice.
Yeah, with the
Um,
kids. Wasn't really a vacation with the kids, but I took the
no,
kids
Miami
down.
usually. Yeah, Miami
On the way
usually.
on the way back to the airport, holding bags and I don't know what. Both my kids, 4 and 2, they both decided they don't want to walk, and we had to go. I'm running through the airport, each one under my armpits like a football, running through the airport. It was a scene. It was a scene. It's a great way to end the
um,
vacation.
yeah, right. Exactly. Any books or podcasts that you recommend? So that can either be in marketing, business, doesn't have to
Oh
be related
yeah,
to either.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Great book by Dale Carnegie. There was another book that I recently read which helped me transform my business. It was called. Let me quickly find it. It was.
While you do that, I have a quick question.
Yeah,
I have not read How to Win Friends and Influence People,
it's a great book.
but I know that there's one of the things I believe says that you're supposed to like say the person's name.
Yes, in
Um,
sales.
I always thought that was weird. I
Why?
always thought like it was my mom talking to me when people use my name. I don't know why.
People like the sound of their own names.
Oh, maybe I'm just in the minority there. I think it's weird when people say my name for whatever reason. So,
I forgot the book's name. I forgot the book's name. Sorry to interrupt you, but I forgot the
no,
book's
you're
name.
good.
It's something like, the something manifesto. Hold on, I'm just searching on my Amazon
Oh,
orders.
I think it's been recommended once on here. It's
The Win Without Pitching Manifesto.
okay. No, that's a different one. Which one
It was
is
a
that one about?
great book. It's about knowing your worth and knowing what to charge. After reading that book, it was like that's where I pivoted
Hmm.
a lot of my work and my standards, and that's how I was able to start picking and choosing who my clients are. So with that book, there was a line in that book, and the light bulb just flickered on
Hmm.
in my head. It was like a person is sick, they go to the doctor. The doctor charges them to give them a diagnosis. A person has a lawsuit, they go to a lawyer. The lawyer charges them for a consultation. Why are you any different? So I started doing the same thing in my business. A person wants to work with me, they have to fill out a qualification form. They pay $500 for me to prepare a proposal for them. If they decide to move forward, they get that $500 credited back to them towards their proposal, towards their project. If they don't, I don't waste my time. They don't waste theirs. It weeds out the people who are not serious, and it gives you higher quality clients.
Interesting. I really like that. I don't know if other marketing firms aren't doing something like that, but you're the first person to mention something like that. So I think that was very helpful. Last question is, are you guys looking to hire any positions right now?
We're always looking to hire. We're always looking to expand. I just hired because we're always delivering projects. So project management is a very big thing here. I just hired somebody as a project management director, who's in charge of all the project managers. So yeah, that's a very good position to have in the company. Yeah.
Perfect. And as we come up to the end of the episode, I just want to really give you an opportunity to tell people how you can find you and anything else you'd like to end with.
So we're based out in Brooklyn, New York. If you're in Brooklyn, hop on by. We're located on the corner of Avenue U and East 8th in Brooklyn. We're not in Manhattan. I decided to myself a while ago that I'm not going to waste 2 hours of my day, 1 hour traveling, 1 hour back. Sure. To take, I could do so much in those 2 hours. I'd rather be local. It's a 10-minute walk from my house. I have an office space. It's great. You can find us online at webteriordesigns.com. Find us on all the social media platforms. And you can always email us at hello@webteriordesigns.com as well.
Perfect. Really, really appreciate you coming on the show. And for those who have learned something new from this episode, please consider giving us a like or follow so we can obviously continue getting the highest quality guests. And as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.